Back once again for the renegade master. 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 Back once again for the renegade master.
Hello, my renegades, and we are back. And what are we back into? We are back into Love is Blind season 5, episode 7. Oh God, we do have a lot to talk about in this one. Like, seriously, do have a lot to talk about in this one. Anywho, before we get into it, please hit that subscribe button. Please hit that notification button so when you know I am back on and doing videos. And let's try and wrap our minds around the debacle that is this season of Love is Blind, because I'm still questioning if these people are sane and where the fuck did they find them? Like, seriously? Anyway, we know from the recap that Uche and Aaliyah have met. Aaliyah's pled her case with Uche. Uche sat there like he smelt shit throughout the whole conversation that he was having with Aaliyah. And then as I pressed on from a previous episode, it happened in this episode where Uche was then explaining exactly what, from his perspective, right? What happened with Lydia from his perspective, the narrative he wanted to put out, because there's 3 sides to a story: his side, her side, and the truth at the end of the day. And all I'm thinking is Uche wanted to make himself look good. Uche wanted to make himself look like the better person, and that it was Lydia that had the serious issues. That's what he was trying to convince people. Not only Aaliyah was he trying to convince, but he was trying to convince the people that would be potentially watching this show that Lydia is a bad seed and that Lydia is crazy. But people need to read. People need to read through the lines. People need to wade through the murkiness of what Uche is saying to literally break down what he's saying, to know that he's not telling the full truth. He is not telling the full truth. He is just saying what he thinks people need to hear. And we must not forget that this man is a lawyer. We must not forget that this man is a lawyer. They know how to finagle words. They know how to be a wordsmithery person. So we must not forget that. So basically, Uche is telling Aaliyah that when she left, he broke. Now, I didn't see no emotion from this guy. You can let me know if you saw emotion from this guy when he said he broke. It was forced. To me, it was forced. I didn't see no emotion from this guy that he was literally brokenhearted that Aaliyah left at the end of the day. Because he's saying they thought that he thought they were on the same page, and saying that she didn't communicate any doubt to him. You red flagged this girl, Uche. Like, proper red flagged this girl to the point where she couldn't communicate shit with you because you literally run rings around her with your words at the end of the day. So she came to you, you told her something, bearing in mind, after she told you something and you reacted disgustingly and then tried to call her a cheater, a recent cheater, when it was 2.5 motherfucking years ago. No. And then you had the audacity to do that, knowing full well that you ended up meeting your ex on this show. You both knew about it, went through the whole situation where you was getting to a point where you had this girl on tenterhooks because she was ready to be all in with you, then to drop that bomb on her. What was the purpose? What was the purpose? That's all I can say is what was the purpose of it? What was the purpose of it? What was he scared that Lydia may come out with it because Lydia does have it? But Lydia didn't say shit either. So I'm sorry, between Uche and Lydia, they caused that situation that then happened with Aaliyah. But then Aaliyah kind of spurred that situation on by doing the crap that she did at the end of the day. But she communicated her emotions and her doubts in regards to the situation itself. Obviously, Uche did not have a keen ear and was not listening correctly. Aaliyah was explaining to Uche that she did not get the information that Lydia provided from him. She didn't get it. Even if it was right information, she didn't ask for it. but Lydia provided it to her. She would never have known that them two had actually slept together before they even got on Love is Blind. Like, not even that long ago. They were in a relationship three or 4 months ago, before Love is Blind started, before they got onto Love is Blind. And the question still remains, how do two exes get on Love is Blind? How do two exes get on Love is Blind? Because I know recently Uche's put like a story out to try and explain his way, because people have asked him questions and this, that and the other. I think his answers are absolutely rehearsed and full of bullshit at the end of the day, because he's putting too much stock in the fact that the producers wouldn't have put his ex on if Lydia had made it known that them two were exes. Producers would have done that shit. That wouldn't have been easy. The producers would have put her in there. They're all about the drama, my guy. They're all about the drama, my guy. They would have put her in there knowing that she was your ex. It's neither here nor there, because my thing is all I hear Uche doing is putting out a narrative to blame Lydia for the situation, and he knows right now Lydia or any other person that's still involved in the process of Love is Blind can't talk about the situation that's happening right now. They can't talk about it. They can't talk about it because they can't say anything until everything has aired all the way up into the reunion. So whether you know that they've stayed married or not, they can't talk about shit. They can't talk about nothing until this whole program is finished. So Uche knows that. Uche knows that. So for him, it's about him getting his narrative out there first, and that's how I'm seeing it. So the reason why I think that Aaliyah probably went to Lydia and said what she said in regards to if Uche doesn't propose to me, then maybe Uche can propose to you and you two can get back together. I don't think she's trying to say that she said it in a joke, and there's still some ounce of truth to when it comes to something like that. I don't think it was a joke at all. I think she was trying to find out where Lydia's loyalties lay in that side of things, or where her feelings lay with Uche. So when Lydia came back with that fiery explanation as to fuck that, I don't want him sort of thing, she got her answer at the end of the day, and that's what she was then in turn telling Uche. She wanted confirmation that there was no residual feelings from Lydia for Uche while they were in the pods. That's what she did that for. She wanted that confirmation at the end of the day. So basically she was saying that if they saw each other, if they were friends in real life, she wanted to know if Lydia would snake her. It was a stupid way of doing it, to be fair. It was a stupid way of doing it, to be fair, because the only way that you would know if Lydia was going to snake you is if you actually accepted that man's proposal and then you all met up in the flats and stuff. Then you would see how they were together. Then you would know if Lydia was going to snake you or not. That would have been the way to do it, would it not? That would have been the way to do it. So then as the conversation moves on, Uche's there talking about he wanted to protect basically Lydia's friendship or Aaliyah's friendship with Aaliyah. And I'm like, I'm calling bollocks there, because at the end of the day, you were too interested in regards to what was going on between Lydia and Milton, and Aaliyah did bring that up, but she weren't necessarily listening to Uche's answers. So he's saying that he should have explained everything and put everything more into context for Aaliyah. And this, as I said in my previous episode and at the beginning of this episode, this is where he starts to explain the character of Lydia. And this is where I was sitting there listening to what he's saying, reading between the lines, and thinking this man is lying through his shitter. Like, absolutely lying through his shitter. He ain't telling the truth. There's things missing. It wasn't adding up and it wasn't making sense to me. Like, seriously, wasn't making sense to me, because you're painting Lydia out to be a villain. But in order to be a villain, there's got to be a catalyst to catapult that person to villaindom at the end of the day. So what I'm saying is, there's got to have been a catalyst to Lydia's behaviour. Something had to have happened previously for Lydia to act in the way that he's saying that she acted. He is not smelling of roses. He is not smelling of roses. Do you know what I mean? You can always freaking throw sparkles and glitter on a piece of shit, but it still ain't gonna be fucking sparkles and glitter. It's gonna be just shit covered in sparkles and glitters at the end of the day. So all I'm saying is nah, he's not, no. He's not telling the truth. He's not telling the truth. And reading between the lines, he's trying to control the narrative that may go out. He wants to come off looking like the best polished turd ever. That's how I'm seeing it. He wants to come off looking like the best person out of this scenario. He doesn't want no backlash from anything, and he wants Lydia to get all the backlash because it's all Lydia's fault. It's like he accepts no responsibility in regards to how things turned out between him and Lydia. And he also keeps on saying that they weren't dating. Yes, you were dating. Yes, you were, my love. You were dating. You were dating 3 times. You were dating. So basically, Aaliyah believes that in some way either Lydia planned to be there when he was there, or they both planned it together. I forgot his bloody name then for a minute. Uche denies that they planned it together, thinks that would be highly ridiculous if they did plan it together in that regard. But she was trying to say that Lydia was telling the rest of the girls when she came in that, you know, she's feeling that she's going to run into, she had a feeling she was going to run into someone from the past. And my thing would have been, at the end of the day, they came in, they met, and then they had their first dates. I know we don't see all the edits and everything like that, and in terms of the conversations, but they had their first dates. And the very first date that Lydia and Uche had was with each other. So she could have come out after that date and said, I have a feeling I'm going to run into somebody that I know, knowing full well that she's already ran into that person. Uche was basically saying that he believes that Lydia knew he was going to be there for real, and basically believes that Lydia planned it. Basically believes that Lydia planned to be there while he was there at the end of the day. I'm just like, I don't get these people. Like, I really don't get these people. And let's get to the crux of it, right? So at the end of all that discussion, Uche turns around and basically says that he doesn't want to be with Lydia. He doesn't want to marry her or do any of that with her at the end of the day. So she was like, okay, I understand. But you could kind of see it broke her heart a little bit. And my thing is I don't even know why he went there to say all of that. He could have just phoned her up and had the talk with her and said that. And it wasn't until I realised that actually it was Aaliyah that asked him to meet her, which he did. Now, me being the kind of cynic that I am, I believe it was probably the producers getting in touch with Aaliyah, asking her to ask Uche for a meetup, and them saying to Uche, you need to do it, but you need to do it on camera. That's how I think that went down. That's how I'm seeing it went down, to be fair. Because at the end of the day, Uche was adamant that he didn't want to speak to Aaliyah. He didn't want to see Aaliyah ever again. That was the end of that conversation. So I find it a bit odd and a bit strange that they then met up at Aaliyah's request after that conversation went down. So then it moves on to the next couples, and we get to Izzy and Stacey. And Stacey goes to Izzy's apartments. Now, his apartment's okay. It was okay on first glances. I don't know why he would keep his trainers on the bed. That's a weird place to put your trainers at the end of the day. Very weird place to put your trainers. But as I heard, they get the chance to go in and tidy up before the people come. Anyway, let's get back to this. So basically, Stacey and Izzy go to Izzy's place. First looks, it's kind of okay. It's kind of okay, and then we get deeper. Now, this man turns around and talks about his lost and found drawer. I'm like, lost and found drawer? What do you mean by lost and found drawer? My guy opened this drawer up, and basically it had things in there that probably when women had come over and they've lost an earring or they've lost this, he put it in a drawer. Now, he's been living in that flat for 1.5 years. For over a year, let's just say for over a year, he's been living in that apartment. and you're telling me he couldn't clear out that drawer before Stacey come over. I found it to be a major ick. I thought it was weird. I thought, why would you want to keep that shit unless you were waiting for the people to come back to come and collect the shit and then you do your shit all over again? I don't know. Why would you keep a drawer like that and then have the audacity to then think it's funny to bring it up? So Stacey would definitely have to have a look at it. It was weird. That shit. And he didn't get why it was weird. He didn't get why it was weird. And then to top it off, when he opens up his cupboard, my man had plastic cups, plastic plates, no bowls, no plastic cutlery. I was like, what the fuck is this? What the... Nah. I'm like, dude, nah. And then Stacey was like, so you would expect me to come over, and if you was doing dinner and stuff like that, you would serve it to me on plastic everything. And he said yes, because it's the thought that counts. Nah, dude. Nah. If I'm not at a party that consists of throwaway items, yeah, don't make me come to your yard and give me plastic to eat out of. That is not happening. That is not happening. And I would do what Stacey did. I'll bring my own fucking cutlery and leave it in your yard. So each time I come over and we eat, I'll be using my stuff, because no, that's just laziness. That's just, and it's the fact that he had loads of them stacked up on each other. Like, that's all he bought. I was like, really, my dude? Really? Like, No. And then they went to having a conversation, and they were talking. Stacey was talking about the drawer. Basically, she was talking about the drawer, and basically telling him that he needs to get rid of the stuff. And he was basically saying, well, I kept it there because this is about you coming into my space and knowing who I am. So Stacey was right. I agreed with her. So you want me to know you as a fuckboy then, don't you? To be fair, you want me to know you as a fuckboy, because why would you keep discarded or lost stuff of people that you've had sex with? It makes no sense to me. Either find the people and give them their shit back, or throw the shit out. You don't need to keep it. Throw the shit out. Why are you keeping it as a souvenir drawer? Because that's what it is. It ain't no lost and found drawer. It's a souvenir drawer. That's what he's keeping it for, as souvenirs of his conquests. It's gross. Like, it's nasty. Nah, man. No. It's hella, it's nasty. No. So you saw that Stacey then got irate, and basically every time he was talking, which I find it gets my goat. It grates me when people do this, when you're talking and someone interrupts you time and time again. And that's what Stacey was doing. She kept interrupting him. So then when he turned around and says, can you let me speak? It was at that point she got upset and walked off out into his balcony and started crying. At that point, I was kind of like, what are you crying for? I was like, what are you crying for? Because there's no need for you to cry. All he told you was stop interrupting me, so he could finish his sentence at the end of the day. But Stacey was het on getting her point across in regards to the situation. So when he shut her dead in terms of let me speak, she got upset. I don't know if she got upset by the lost and found drawer, and the fact that she realized that Izzy's maybe not the stablest person that you thought he was, and you're seeing a completely different side to him. But he did basically go out and comfort her. She wanted to go home. He comforted her, and I think that was the end of that. So you do see Milton and Lydia go and meet Lydia's mom and brother, and the conversation was flowing. The conversation went well. Haven't really got anything to pick out about it, to be fair. I do think Milton's going to get eaten alive. I really do. I do think Milton's going to be eaten alive by Lydia, to be fair, because she's literally going to want to run roughshod over this young man. She's going to want things her way and then try and mold him into the type of man that she thinks she wants, not realizing that Milton has his own individuality going on, and she needs to accept Milton for who he is. Yes, there may be certain things that he could change, like leaving your wet towels on the motherfucking floor. That would irritate me no end, because I'm like, why? Because you're not going to use it. You're not going to use the wet towel on your body again, are you? Pick it up and go put it in a wash basket or something. But that would be anything else. I'm just like, yeah, whatever sort of thing. At the end of the day, he's got his head screwed on. Milton is not a stupid lad. Milton is not a stupid lad. He has sense, and I will get on to further why I do like Milton, because he's the type of person that will have someone's back, and I will get onto the point that I'm making in terms of him having someone's back. So then you see Stacey and Izzy go to meet Stacey's family. Now these are all these women are all carbon cutters of each other. Like, they all look like each other. That none of them look like that. They all look like each other. It was weird to watch. And then you know, they were all getting on okay, and then they spoke to Izzy about, like, in terms of finances and stuff like that, because they were asking all the right questions, especially in terms of how they expect Stacey to be treated, or where Stacey's expectations are and stuff like that. Now my thing is Izzy says he has savings. Like, he says he has savings, and he was in sales for quite a long time. Then he moved from sales to go to his friend's business to do insurance sales, and said he could do that. He was there only for, I think, a week before he then went on to Love is Blind. So within his new job, Izzy ain't earned nothing. To be fair, within his new job, he hasn't earned nothing. So when he comes back and he starts working, is he going to then have to dip into his savings? Not that I really need to know or anything like that, in order to survive at the moment. Or do they kind of get like a stipend coming on Love is Blind? Because that's what I've heard. It's not much of a stipend, but they get something on coming on Love is Blind. Anyway, we shall see how that, like, kind of works out between them two, because in terms of financial stability, I think Stacey is at a higher level than what Izzy is, and I don't think Izzy is being very honest when it comes to that. So then, as we're coming to the end of this episode, all of the people then meet up, the couples meet up, and then you get the people that were in the pods and on the show meet up. You see Johnny come in, basically, and her and Chris are actually dating. Which is nice to see, to be honest with you. I know there's no love lost between Johnny and Stacey because of the shit that Johnny was saying about Stacey. I do have a feeling, though, that Stacey went and probably told Izzy some of those situations at the end of the day, because then you see Izzy and Johnny go and have a conversation. Now, I didn't like that conversation. I didn't like it in the slightest, because I thought Izzy was absolutely disgusting towards Johnny. Absolutely disgusting towards Johnny. Yes, Johnny had issues that she needed to work on at the end of the day, but at the end of the day, all I would say is Johnny was honest. She was honest in her feelings, and she didn't shy away from those her feelings in that regard. Yes, there was a little bit of a fine line between a little line of truth that she may have done in terms of what she told Chris and in terms of what she told Izzy in regards to either one of them and how she felt it. She said what she was feeling at the time with both of them, okay? So them two, we know that Chris and Izzy at that point had a talk, but didn't necessarily communicate it well in terms of what Johnny was saying about each one of them. So now it's the fact that Izzy then tried to call her a liar and basically saying that she was a shady character, and that everybody else thought she was a shady character. So basically, Johnny turned around and said, well, if everybody else thought I was a shady character, well, what does that make all of them? They're the shady ones, because none of them told me they had an issue with me and they'd smile up in my face. Which is correct. It is sketchy. That's the word, sketchy. I just don't like the way that Izzy spoke to Johnny, especially when he said, let me give you some advice. I just said, do you know what? Before you finish that sentence, I'm going to get up and walk away, because I'm at a point where I might punch you in your throat right about now. Like, seriously, at a point where I'm going to throat punch you, dude, because you're literally talking shit in my ear holes. I don't know why Izzy felt that he needed to have that conversation with Johnny. There was no need for him to have that conversation with Johnny, and I just think as he did with Olivia when he had that conversation with her, he just wanted to backbite. He didn't like it that neither one of those girls basically had people in the wings after he decided to dump them. He thought they'd have nobody at the end of the day, and that's how he saw it. That's how I'm thinking of it. But I think Izzy was a bit of a dickhead. I think Izzy was a bit of a dickhead. I would have stopped talking to Izzy as soon as he called me sketchy. As soon as he called me sketchy, and if I'm trying to talk to you and you're then shouting over me, that conversation is done, because you ain't doing that shit to me. And even as he said, probably, let me offer you some advice, I would have said, I'm gonna stop you right there, because I'm itching to throat punch you right about now. So I'm going to get up and go back to my proverbial corner with my boyfriend. Yeah, you go talk to your wife or wife to be and leave me the fuck alone. That's how I'm gonna say it. Leave me the fuck alone. Me and you don't need to talk. Me and you no longer have a conversation. We don't need to talk no more, because Izzy thinks he's a bad man. Like, seriously thinks he's a bad man, and thinks he's so eloquent when he's putting things forward, and he's so fucking rude. He's so rude. And then you see Johnny walk away upset, like really upset, and she's talking to Chris. So then you see Izzy gleefully pulling Stacey to one side, and I'm just like, what? That was pathetic, dude. Pathetic, absolutely pathetic. Because what he was telling Stacey was what he was talking to Johnny about. Izzy was lying through his teeth, like full on lying through his teeth, only saying the little tidbits of what Johnny was saying, but not exactly what led her to say that. And that's where I said, you full of bullshit, Izzy. Like, you're full of bullshit. And then Uche turns up. Uche turns up and beelines for Lydia. Lydia's whole face said it all. She was like, oh God. And then he was like asking her if they could talk, and Milton was watching keenly, and she said, okay. So basically, he then turned around. Uche does this thing where he turns around and cites all the good things first. And then turns around and Scorpio stings the person in their motherfucking neck with the bad bits, because he was saying all these nice things about how they were together and their relationship and and then he turns around and says, what I was upset about, he said, you asked me a question, I'm being honest with you. Basically, what I was upset about is the fact that you were sneaking around my place. You went through my drawers to find out personal things about me. And Lydia was like, no, I did not. No, I didn't. Like, really really denying it. And at first, when he kept on going on, Lydia said, you know what, this conversation is done. Like, absolutely done. And I applauded Lydia at that point to get up and walk away, because I don't know what Uche's game was. At that point, I don't know what Uche's game was, because I'm thinking, how toxic are you going to be? Because my thing is now, okay, you fucked up things with Aaliyah, because this is how I'm seeing it right now. Things got fucked up with Aaliyah, and I think Uche is blaming Lydia for that. So now Uche is now going to be skeevy and turn around and fuck things up for Lydia with Milton. That's how I'm seeing this play out. That is how I'm seeing this play out. He is not going to let this girl have a happy ending in no way, shape or form if he can help it, because he didn't get his happy ending and he felt Lydia was the cause of it. So this is how I'm thinking things are going to go, or things are going to try and go. So this is where I said Milton is a star. Milton is a star, because he comes in after Lydia's walked off. Because Uche's pulled Lydia again to talk. So Lydia's gone in. He's at Lydia. Milton then walks in. And then you see the tone change in Uche when Milton walks in. He didn't confront Milton in the way that he confronted Lydia. He didn't talk to Milton in the way that he was talking to Lydia, which tells me he felt comfortable speaking to a woman in the way that he does, but he wouldn't do this. He wouldn't give the same energy to a man. He wouldn't give that same energy to my man. So Milton comes in and basically turns around and says, look, we have to go somewhere in 10 minutes. So are you done with this conversation? Do you need me here? Do you need me to stay? Do you need me to wait outside? Now, the thing with Lydia is she should have took that as her out. She should have said, yes, this conversation is finished. I'm coming right now, and walked out with Milton, because Milton was giving her that out to get the fuck out of that situation. But Lydia didn't move. Lydia basically said no to Milton. Now everything's okay. I'm just gonna sort this out and then I'll be here. I know I've got to come in 10 minutes. I know. So Milton gets up and says, I'm just outside. They start getting into it again, and Lydia basically turned around and let some shit out the bag and said, do you really want to go there? Because if you think about how Uche was putting it down to Lydia, he wasn't actually saying what had happened. And I was sitting there and saying, well, what happened then? What happened? He was going around reeking, but not actually pinpointing what had happened to make Lydia act in the way that she acted when they were together, because there was a catalyst. There was a common thread with this. So Lydia turned around and was saying, do you really want me to put out what you want me to put out? Shall we go there? Because at the end of the day, I will go there, because what happened that made me do the certain things that I did. But Uche wasn't really saying it. So then it comes out. So Uche still kept going in on Lydia, and Lydia was denying what had happened, because Uche then turned around and said, oh, but you sent me a photo of my driveway and saying I'm watching you. And Lydia was explaining, saying, no, I was in the area, I drove past, it was a joke, and you know it was a joke because you took it as a joke, basically. So this is what I mean by Uche trying to create some type of narrative that Lydia is a crazy ass ex-stalker, basically. That's what he's trying to do with this story. But it comes out that the reason why Lydia did certain things, she said she found a fucking sex video of him with another girl. She had doubts and inklings that he was seeing somebody else. So she came to his place that day and she did look, and she found a fucking sex video. So if that's the truth, you had all the motherfucking audacity to fucking treat Aaliyah the way that you did for an indiscretion she did 2.5 years ago. 2.5 years ago. But yet you did the same thing with Lydia, and you wanted to keep that quiet, didn't you? Uche wanted to keep that quiet. Really wanted to keep that quiet. But we shall see in terms of the next episodes. All I'm going to say is, after hearing that and listening to that, if it is the truth, it explains the behaviours. It explains it all at the end of the day. And Lydia isn't the crazy ex-stalker that Uche is trying to portray her as. Anywho, this is where I'm going to end the episode. All I will ask is that you please hit that subscribe button, hit that notification button, so when you know I am back on and doing videos. And I'll be back with more Love is Blind when they put the next series on, which I think starts tomorrow. So the next stuff that I'm now going to be doing is I'm going to catch up with Married at First Sight UK, and I'll be back with those videos very, very soon too. Peace out.